Like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat because it doesn't curve, the water always finds its level.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B., and of course, Just Jack Flat Earth.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're finally back.
So, yeah, we've been gone for a minute. So for those of you who don't know what happened up here in upstate South Carolina and southern North Carolina, the hurricane was stronger here than it was on the coast, which is very interesting. Can we say like weather war? Anyway, so we had the power outages and the floodings and the trees falling in the roads and everything, and Flattoberfest was nearly canceled, but thankfully there was a hotel near the exit that let the flat earthers camp out there, and they set up a little stage, and I got to hang out with everybody a couple weeks ago. That was freaking awesome. And then last week I still didn't have internet. They said it was going to be 11 days, but thankfully it was only 7 days because last Shabbat afternoon, I finally got internet and electricity back. But we are glad to be back. It's a good thing, that everything they say on the news is typically fear propaganda. Like this last hurricane, they claimed was going to be the largest hurricane ever recorded, a Category 6, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to wipe out Florida. Everybody needs to get out. If they don't get out, they need to write their name on their arm so they can identify them because of all the dead bodies that are going to happen because of the hurricane. And I was rejecting it and rebuking it every step of the way. And I said, Yehovah, like this would be a good point for you to show off and show them that their plans will not always come to pass. And I think it's a belief system that empowers them. Like, if enough people believe it, it will happen. But they couldn't get enough people. And there was so many people that because of the way the hurricane happened when it came up here through the middle of the landmass and the hurricane did not die down like it naturally should, that so many people who, again, just like what happened with the worldwide epidemic thing that happened, people started waking up. Like, this is not natural. This is not actually happening the way they're saying it's happening. And like just going around to different stores and stuff, like, I had to drive like 45 minutes to get propane and stuff like that. And I was talking to people and I say, is this natural? And it sparked a conversation where like, a bunch of people waiting for propane, like 10, 12 people sitting there talking about, geoengineering, weather control, they're trying to take out the electricity in the southern regions so that they can't do their electronic voting because that's what they want to do this year is like not do actual ballots, but electronic voting. There's a lot of extra conspiracy tied into it by other people's perspectives. But the point is that these are normies who have been woken up because the illegal in charge, I'll put it that way, are pushing their stuff so hard that it's becoming, polarizing. It's the same thing as what was happening back in 2020. It's a polarizing thing that's happening and people are waking up and they're like, wait, this is not natural. And then some people are like, well, how long has this not been natural? And I talked about the Texas hurricane that sat over Texas for like a week and just kept getting stronger. And they had to get ships to take people out of there. And, and Texas has always been a pushback on the national government, so, there's a lot of things that we look into that, it's actually just like, if it hits you directly and you start paying attention to it, then you start seeing it, the threads start coming loose. So it's been a very interesting couple of weeks for me, and I'm sure as well for you, Karen, because I know that you you came out there thinking like, how am I going to get this Flat Tower Fest thing going? And it just kind of happened on its own, and that was awesome. Mm-hmm. So you can go ahead and put your input in if you'd like. I'm sure you've been talking about it on Coffee Talk and everything else, but
yeah. Well, I know everybody wants to talk about geoengineering, but for me personally, I feel like the bigger deal is the complete inaction and lack of response by the government, the FEMA going and interfering and stopping the locals, like the local churches and local rescues that are, civilian volunteers who've been doing all the hard work, going past the road closed signs, taking mules and stuff full of supplies to these people who can't be reached, private helicopter owners volunteering their time and efforts with their own aircraft. Like, that to me is the bigger deal, how the government isn't doing anything. And then they, and people do talk about it. And then they're sending like billions of dollars to these countries overseas where they're like doing regime changes and all this bullshit. And then they're leaving actual Americans left to die.
Right. Yeah, not only that, but if you are helping people of your own free volition or a group volition, that they threaten you with charging you with crimes for helping people.
Well, sometimes
you should be donating. You should be donating your stuff to the Red Cross, and you should be donating your stuff to FEMA, and we'll take care of it. And it's like, well, but we know where the people are. We know what they need, and no, they're not having that. They want complete control. And the good thing is again, this is something else that triggers the people. That's like, why? This is something very sketchy, and it makes them to be less and less trustworthy of the controllers. So, which is good. Ultimately, it's good. So, But yeah, I'll just do my disclaimer and then we can get into it. But yeah, I actually love when these bad things happen where people wake up. I think that's always a good thing when people wake up. So, just Jack's disclaimer to the religious. If you believe it's wrong to study the scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scriptures shouldn't be studied at all, then the stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed, if you believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for words, as well as context from a non-religious perspective. And we will as well have life experience discussion, as we just did. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There you go. All right. So
What are we
shout out
on?
to everybody in the
18?
chat. I'll do a full shout out later, but it's good to see everybody showing up and participating in chat. All right. You can, however you want to go. I mean, we could do a review, but as I said, in Deuteronomy, it kind of like hops a lot because it's like Moshe's last speech before they cross over, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, one more thing. Like, you know, it seems like that, like he's like talking about one thing and then he'll just jump to a new subject real quick. But this is its own, this chapter stands on its own if you prefer to just begin here.
Okay. The priests, the Levites, all the tribe of Levi have no part nor inheritance with Yisrael. They are to eat the offerings of Yehovah made by fire and his inheritance.
Okay, so them by not having their own inheritance, they have portions of land within each tribe's inheritance, and their inheritance is also a portion of the offerings that are brought to Yehovah. That's what they survive off of, which is why there's problematic things when they translate words like slaughter instead of sacrifice and meat instead of grain. You know, there's those translation problems, but that's what they live off of is the portion of what's brought in for the offerings. Okay.
But among his brothers, Levi has no inheritance. Yehovah is his inheritance, and he has spoken to him.
Okay.
And this is the priest's right from the people, from those who slaughter a slaughtering, whether it is bull or sheep, they shall give to the priest the shoulder and the 2 cheeks and the stomach.
Okay, so obviously in this case it is a slaughtering because we're talking about animals, but this is sacrifice, those who sacrifice the sacrifice. And actually, let's see, do the people from that offer sacrifices the way King James Version translated it. So it's sacrifice a sacrifice. All right.
Mm-hmm.
4.
The first fruits of your grain and your new wine and your oil and the first of the fleece of your sheep you give him.
Okay, so here it's a continuation of the previous verse. The slaughtering of grain, the slaughtering of wine, the slaughtering of oil, the slaughtering of fleece, right? This is why it matters that it's not slaughter but sacrifice. Okay, 5.
For Yehovah your Elohim has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand and serve in the name of Yehovah, him and his sons forever.
Okay.
And when the Levite comes from one of your gates, from where he has sojourned among all Yisrael, and shall come with all the desire of his being to the place which Yehovah chooses, then he shall serve in the name of Yehovah, his Elohim, like all his brothers and Levites who are standing there before Yehovah.
And then in this case, it says serve, but it translates as a volunteer worker, because there are designated times like in their life where they must do this specific service, but there's also, you know, okay, I'm going to take part in this part, like, you know, the line of offering gathering or the line of animal poop cleaning and, you know, all sorts of stuff that they have to do. So yeah, there's their service, and then there's their sacrifice, their volunteering, working.
They are to have portion for portion to eat, besides what comes from the sale of his inheritance.
Okay.
When you come into the land which Jehovah your Elohim is giving you, do not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations.
Okay, so what is happening here is we're talking about when they cross over the Yarden that they're going to take over that land that is designated for them, and as they go in there, there's going to be different traditions that they have. There's going to be different practices that they have. If you look at the practices of the Near Middle Eastern cultures during this time, a lot of it was pretty nasty stuff: child sacrifices, rape orgies, horrible things. And some of it may not be so horrible, but it's always in the same pattern after those deities. So that's why it says, "Do not learn according to the abominations of the nations."
Let no one be found among you who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or one who practices divination, or user of magic, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer.
Okay, again, we've gone through these back in Leviticus, that they're not exactly accurate translations, but they're pretty close. Like the divination, the passing through fire, that's actually correct. The divination is actually correct, but the user of magic is the seers. They have um, cultish visions. They would like cut themselves and stuff like that, and get into like a euphoric state and have visions and stuff. Um, but yeah, so some of these are good. You know, the next one's a little bit more complicated. Conjure spells, medium, spiritist, one who calls upon the dead. So there's the dead callers, the wizards, um, because they're a collection of seeing and knowing. The Ove, who worship their dead ancestors and stuff like that. And then conjurers is not actually conjurers, one who makes a companion or couples with asking the dead ancestor. So you couple with your dead ancestor. That's what it's actually talking about. It doesn't say conjure spells. That's a bad translation. Um, this one says familiar spirits. That's actually closer, but it's invoking your dead ancestors to possess you is basically what it's talking about. Which I think the elites do a lot. But that's yeah.
Could be. They're weird spirit cooking crap.
Well, I mean, there's some literature that talks about it, like the ones who come before us, and you bring them in, and da 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 da. So anyway, 12.
For whoever does these is an abomination to Jehovah, and because of these abominations, Jehovah your Elohim drives them out from before you.
Okay, so this is the reason that the people can no longer have the land that have it, because they've made it into such a dark region of these horrible practices that they do, using children as spiritual gateways. Again, which I believe is still going on today in our mainstream culture of the elites. So this is not what they're doing is nothing new. This is why they were kicked out of the land in the first place. It's not like Jehovah's like, I think you should have that land more than them. So like, just go in there and kill everybody. No. They were really freaking bad when he said go in and kill them. All right. 13.
Be perfect before Jehovah your Elohim. For these nations whom you are possessing do listen to those using magic and to diviners, but as for you, Jehovah your Elohim has not appointed such for you.
Okay, and it's not perfect. It's full of truth. Be full of truth before Jehovah your Elohim. So, and again, magic and diviners is the seers, and diviner is appropriate.
Jehovah your Elohim shall rise up for you, a prophet, like me from your midst, from your brothers. Listen to him.
Okay, so okay. There are a group of people, I'll leave it like that because, I don't want to associate and whatever. There are a group of people that assume that this is speaking specifically of the one they call Yeshua, of the, New Testament, that he will be a prophet like me from the midst of your brothers. Listen to him. All right.
Yeah, according to all you asked of Yehovah your Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of Yehovah my Elohim, nor let me see this great fire any more, lest I die.
Okay, and I'm going to jump back here really quick, and then we'll come back to this. This is 18:16, Exodus chapter 20, after the Ten Commandments, the quote unquote. There's no such thing as Ten Commandments, but after the part where people think that there's Ten Commandments, do not covet your neighbor. The people saw the thunders and the lightning, the flashes, and the voice of the shofar, the mountain smoking, and the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance. And they said to Jehovah, you speak with us, or spoke to Moshe, speak to us, and we will hear, but let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said to the people, do not fear, for Elohim has come to prove you, in order that you fear, his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. So the people stood off at a distance, but Moshe drew near the thick darkness where Elohim was. So that's what that's talking about, where they're like, we're going to die if we hear any more from the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that's portrayed in movies where Moses goes up in the mountain by himself, talks to Yehovah by himself, and the people don't hear, it's nonsense. That's not the way it actually happened. All the people heard, and they're like, oh, we can't take it anymore. We're going to die. Send somebody to talk to us. And then Moshe is saying there's going to be a very important dude that'll speak the words of Elohim, and you need to listen to him. All right, 17.
And Yehovah said to me, what they have spoken is good. I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers, and I shall put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him.
Right. And an often quote in the New Testament is, I don't do my own thing. I don't speak my own words. I only do the will of the Father. I only speak the word of the Father.
Mm-hmm.
There was a specific guy that they think is a prophet that said those exact things. Right, 19.
And it shall be, the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him.
And then the name of this prophet is Yehoshua or Yeshua, which means he is salvation, or Jehovah is my salvation. All right, 20.
But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or speaks in the name of other mighty ones, even that prophet shall die.
So these are false prophets, prophets who speak in the name of other deities, or prophets that speak against what the Creator has already spoken. 1.
And when you say in your heart, how do we know the word which Yehovah has not spoken?
Okay.
When the prophet speaks in the name of Yehovah, and the word is not or comes not, that is the word which Yehovah has not spoken. The prophet has spoken it presumptuously. Do not be afraid of him.
Presumptuously is Zedon. Where is it? Proudly. So in arrogance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if they speak the word of Yah and the word is not and comes not, that means it doesn't line up with Yah's words and it doesn't come to pass, right? But then we'll see in a few more chapters that the prophet who says that this will happen, and then it does happen, but then they teach you, now that this has happened, let's go serve other deities, then he's bad news as well. So there's that as well. All right, so let me jump over here. All right, shout out to Joseph Osborne, Wes FE, Chicago Artist, Valley Parks, Azing 717, what's up, Cammy? Keto, Cheeto, Leafy, Effed Up World, Jay, Feminim. Wow. Let's see. Good Times for All. What's up, Zach? MS. That you might want to change your screen name to MS. That doesn't sound great. Anyway, Isabella. All right, shout out to y'all, and let me see if there's any questions or comments here. There's talk about peanut butter and chili.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about peanut butter and chili like the whole time.
Okay. All right. Great. Love everyone, hate sin. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But everyone has sin that they deal with. And again, sin is not what you determine by your gut feeling or your own conscience, because people have twisted consciences. It's that which misses the mark, that which veers off the path. Uh, Cami said sorry for starting I think it's about the peanut butter chili conversation. But it's okay. It's cool for people to get together and chit chat about, silly stuff. I don't mind, if you hear this stuff and any of it triggers you to go and search the scriptures for yourself because something sounded interesting, or even if you heard something from me that you thought sounded wrong, absolutely go check the scriptures. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. I have a big problem with these religious leaders. And I thought that would stop after people left the church, but no, they have new religious leaders who are Torah followers and stuff like this, and it drives me crazy. And then people come after me because they say I'm a Torah leader and you shouldn't be teaching this. And I tell people, no, I'm not a Torah leader. I'm just a guy who is going through the scriptures the way that I went through the scriptures. And it's up to them to read the scriptures for themselves and decide for themselves what rightly divide the word to their own research. I think we should all not trust men, including me. I'm just a dude,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do, I want to give props to the creator for Flattowerfest, for protecting the people in our area, and to give props that, this last storm was dissolved, I believe, by the creator. So props to the creator. Do you have my purple Flattowerfest hat in Lost and Found?
No, Cammy, I think Cammy has that, Valley.
Is that the one that Alex was sharing the picture of?
Yes.
It could be. If so, then Cammy has it. Cammy, shout out if you
I'm pretty
if you
sure
have the purple Flattowerfest hat.
I think Cammy has your hat, Valley.
Because we left it with her because she's the closest to the north and near the interstate and everything else like that. So she's a more reasonable person to get stuff from. So yeah, touch base. Aurorian, sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Aurorian says Just Jack is a trustworthy dude. Thanks. I appreciate the shout out. I am still a dude though. And Aisling717 says she's got it. All right, cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool connection right there. Nice. So Valley, get in touch with Cammy, and it should be all good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love meeting y'all in. I guess I was still Spartanburg. It was more like Boiling Springs, but whatever. It was good to meet y'all a couple weeks ago. Can't wait till the next gathering. I heard there's some talk about possibly borrowing some land in New York next, is what I heard.
Where'd you hear that?
So we'll see.
I haven't heard that one yet.
You know that little guy who is setting up the stage, wrapping up the chords?
No.
Older gentleman? No, little short guy. Oh, well, he's the guy that says he's going to try to, borrow some land for another.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, never mind. I know.
Okay. So you know who he is then? Who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I won't be going to that.
Okay. So Cammy said she's in the northernmost tip of Spartanburg. Yeah, she's pretty north. Yep, met Tony Coriolis there as well. Yeah, that was good time. All right. Oh, Chesney. That's right. That's where it was. The exit did say Chesney. That's correct. And every time I see that sign, I read Chinese because that's where my brain goes. But anyway. All right. Shabbat shalom, y'all. It was a good time. Earth is still flat.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study. And we hope you have a restful day, and we'll see you next time.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.